We're live with Jason Gayl, and we have his newly appointed partner, Brandon Friedman. Both are from Nuevco. You can find them on nuevco.com. Jason's a managing director there, co-founder there in Washington, District of Columbia, US.
Yep.
They do consulting and strategy AI. We're going to talk about Denise.ai as well, which is one of their products. So they focus on rapid growth, innovative solutions, and provide products that have to do with leveraging AI and execute corporate development for venture and PE companies. So that's pretty interesting, right in my field. This podcast, real quick, is brought to you by bookwritegpt.com. If you want to take your LinkedIn content and write a quick book with AI that you can publish on Kindle, you can go to bookwritegpt.com. Jason, Brandon, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having us.
Jason, maybe you can start telling us a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate that. And Tim Stockstill, Brandon Friedman, and I really looked at solving a problem that most people don't even know that they're going to have. And that is understanding artificial intelligence. And really, most importantly, how do you understand how to trust artificial intelligence to protect your data, to get you the right answers, to be part of your workflow in a positive way, as opposed to creating more problems. And I had a really interesting problem about a year and a half ago. I work with the Department of Energy and the national laboratories, and they have about 12,000 technologies. They want to get those technologies in the hands of U.S. citizens. They want to turn those research projects into companies and products that get into the environment. But if there's 12,000 technologies and there's, let's say, 35 million people who are going to be potentially interested in one particular project, well, in reality, there's only, let's say, 350 people of those 35 million that should get told about the project, right? And how do you figure out that answer? Well, for that project, we had a database, and we still have it, of 35,000 people. And most of them were cybersecurity folks, but I had some quantum research projects that I wanted to send over. And I got introduced to Tim Stockstill a year and a half ago. And I said, so what I'd love to do is use AI to go get as much information on those 35,000 people, to rank them on how well they fit that criteria, to then draft me a custom email and send it out to only the 350 of those 35,000 that should match, right? If I send it out to all 35,000 people using MailChimp or any other tool today, I'm going to get the grand majority of them going, I'm not interested in this. And then they don't pay attention the next time I send out that email, right? So Tim said, well, I can build you every single one of those steps, but the problem you're going to have is integrating those workflows together. And that really started solving or identifying a major problem. We're starting to see these wonderful tools. We call them vertical AI agents, right? And those tools can do one thing at a time. In our case, they might be able to go review your LinkedIn profile and capture that information and put that into our CRM. They might be able to take your data and turn that into a custom written email for one. But the tool can't connect the two things together, right? So I might buy a vertical AI agent. I might need to buy another vertical AI agent, but I need a chief artificial intelligence officer who is going to help me design out the backplane and all the tools internally that allow that integration to happen seamlessly.
Yeah, so I think the misconception, Charles, that a lot of the emerging businesses who are just starting to take advantage of AI tools, they believe that AI is really in those individual tools, where the actuality is, and the large enterprise companies that are already leveraging AI for its real value, it's the layer above all those tools that makes the tools work well together. And unless you're integrating the agents that you're implementing into your business to make automated workflows, not just automated tasks, you're not really taking advantage of AI yet. And so that's what we're working to solve for really those types of businesses.
So
Right. So it's an advisory company. It's a consulting company. Do you think that there's going to be standalone AI agents that are going to do that without the need of consultants?
So that is a wonderful question. The workflow that the modern chief artificial intelligence officer is going to need to understand is what's the value proposition that your business is providing, right? So you need a strategist. And you need a strategist who understands what the venture fund cares about, what the private equity fund cares about. You also need a strategist who understands what your customers care about and your strategic partners care about. So you're not looking for a technologist to be the chief artificial intelligence officer. You're looking for a strategist, an investment banker, a consultant, a management consultant to come in. Then the very next person that you need to be part of that team, you need that chief artificial intelligence officer to have business process optimization expertise. What are all the steps that are critical? How are you going to go from manual bespoke processes to manual repeated processes to standardized workflows that have been optimized? Where are you going to introduce traditional SaaS? Where are you going to introduce SaaS that has artificial intelligence embedded into it? Where are you going to introduce AI agents? And then how are you going to get all those agents to work together, right? So you need that business process optimization consultant to come in. The next person you need to have come in is a data architect. The next person you need to have come in is a cybersecurity expert who is going to make sure that you don't have any data leakage, right? Especially if you have personally identifiable information, HIPAA compliance. If you've working with the defense and intelligence community and you've got to comply with CMMC or other standards. So the toolkit that the chief artificial intelligence officer requires is a full executive suite that most businesses don't have the resources to have full-time on their team, right? So if you're thinking about a company, let's say a financial services business, a credit union with $100 million of assets under management, well, realistically, they're making about $4 million of revenue. They don't have any budget whatsoever to bring in to in-house that chief artificial intelligence officer. Nuevco is that consulting business.
Until when will there be agents that are going to do that? Because I can understand probably in the next year or two, humans are going to complete these functions, but we're about to enter the agentic age when are agents going to be able to do and execute all of these roles? Or do you see humans in the loop forever?
Charles, I think that's a great point because it's like any other industry, right? Where you start with the people going in, doing the consulting. From that, you train the AI, you start to figure out what are the most optimal training exercises, which ones do the consumer grasp the best, and which one takes them further down the road to ultimately implementing the tools and realizing the ROI benefit. So I think you're right, like 12 months out, 18 months out, and a lot of that training will become kind of that marketing onboarding roadmap that actually gets you to the AI. A lot like a lot of courses have, I mean, a lot of software as a service companies have, you know, their university built in where you can go through and watch the videos. Oh, I want to implement this type of AI tool. Let me watch the video on how they recommend it. And then whether that's AI generated or human in the video won't really matter at that point because you won't need to have human go business by business. They'll be able to use it as the onboarding to get to the AI.
I think that human trust also, I think humans won't trust machines, right? Like AI agents, they'll want to have a human in the loop and the emotion double check. But I also think that humans will be training data for AIs, right? Like we will execute stuff while the machine is watching, and the machine will learn to sort of replace us, which is kind of creepy, right?
Yeah.
Well, it is. But what SaaS does really well It does the same thing over and over and over again at scale. So it captures macro data really well. It's lousy at capturing micro data, unique information about the individual technology company or person, right? Anything that we have done historically about data brokerage, your real estate agent is a data broker at the end of the day. AI can do all the micro data capture now, as long as we train it. But at the end of the day, you are absolutely right. You want the human in the loop to be the experts. You want the human in the loop to be the supervisor, because the AI will get it wrong, just like your junior employee is going to get it wrong, right? And so when you're working through these steps, we need to teach the humans how to be better supervisors and better experts, and use the capabilities of artificial intelligence to be cheaper, better, and faster at capturing microdata, or doing these really small, minute steps that we train our interns and our paralegals and our investment banking analysts to do, right? What we're going to see is we have less need for the junior labor. We have more need for the expert layer. Right?
There's just too many tasks that are too big and shouldn't require a human. And if you have to get through 25,000 inputs, AI can do that much better, and then allow the human to say, okay, AI, what did we find here, right? And ask it questions where the AI can respond to it and say, oh, let me look at that, and run an analysis against it on behalf of the human. But you still need the human to be able to say to the AI, this is what I want to get out of this.
And the human is the connector, right? Like he's the centerpiece. And I think there's a GPU problem though with AI registering pretty much everything and making sense out of everything. So where do you see that going? We see like NVIDIA is at an all-time high. I mean, in the latest days, it's been kind of bumpy, right, for every company. Yep. But where do you see GPU and compute power in fueling the agentic revolution?
Yeah. Well, this is actually, can I take this, Jake?
Yeah, sure.
I think this is actually like one of the really incredible things about agentic AI is you can start to figure out where you need to use the larger tool set versus the minimal tool set. We like to use an example. You don't want to put a Ferrari engine in a tractor, right? And vice versa, right? Because you need a Ferrari when you need a Ferrari. You need the tractor when you need the tractor. You need the pickup truck or the trash truck when you need the trash truck. And those are all different types of loads and resources to perform a certain task. And if the AI is starting to integrate multiple tasks together through the agentic middle layer, then what you get is it starts to figure out where and when to optimize those loads. And it really starts to save money for the consumer, but also how much do we need from a capacity perspective?
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in on that for sure. When we think about the mechanical revolution in the 1870s, we started seeing the engine, and we've got the engine now in artificial intelligence. The large language models, they're the compute engine, right? And so if we talk about Llama or we talk about ChatGPT, we're going to have those, and we're going to have probably thousands of engine makers, right? Just like we have thousands of car companies throughout the world, and they've gotten consolidated, but there's always new ones that are coming out. Then you've got the chassis builders, right? And the chassis builders are figuring out how to make ideal tires, right? Let's say the agents are figuring out, are they making an ideal tire? Are they making an ideal steering wheel? Are they making an ideal gear shifter, right? But at the end of the day, you need an assembly line that is going to allow the construction of all those AI agents to work together. We're not in the business of building out the large language models. We're not in the business of building out the agents, the vertical agents. If you think about that pegboard game where you've got all these pegs and you're jumping them around the board, we're the board. We're where all those things fit together so that you can control the artificial intelligence, you can protect your data, you can give privileged access to your external partners, right? But they have to sign contracts. They have to demonstrate that they're protecting the outcomes, that they're going to work with you in the way that you approve, right? But all of that requires this base board that we call Denise. And
Okay.
Denise is designed to make everybody else's tools work a whole lot quicker and faster. And the last thing I'm going to say on that is, when you think about that Ferrari in your tractor, well, the first time you've downloaded that Agentic AI tool, that AI agent, it might have been built on Llama. You're going to want to see how it performs on any of the others. You're going to want to be able to set up rules that say, I don't want it to use DeepSeek. You're going to set up all these requirements, and then you can allow the agent to go take sips from the various LLMs. And that is when we will find the entire evolution of the industry repeat what happened with the mechanical revolution, and we'll see engines in our refrigerators the same way that we see engines in our rocket ships.
So the biggest AI companies, according to what you just said, would be sort of an API that would decide which LLM to consult and how to plug it with my solution.
We certainly think that the orchestration and the integration is a massive challenge that organizations haven't really thought about. We and Tim Stockstill, who's just pure genius when it comes to artificial intelligence and SaaS, started mapping all the challenges out and building out the solutions for how to do those API integrations, how to dynamically enforce the rules, and how to do the information sharing. Sorry, those are my dogs. So altogether,
I think one of the other things we're seeing is the security is absolutely paramount, right? How do I leverage the tool sets and protect my data, right? I can go to use one of these large AI companies out there, and in a lot of ways, I'm not confident whether or not my data is safe. And so having this middle layer that requires certain protocols in order to leverage it, access it, join it, and gives the peace of mind to the customer that the data isn't open and available to anybody within that ecosystem is really critical to adoption. Additionally, you want to be able to allow anybody to come to market in that environment, where if you're leveraging, Google's AI tools, all you have at will is what Google allows or provides as a tool, where a brand new agent developer may want to bring something to market, and Google's going to say either sell it to us or whatever it is, if you want it to be on our marketplace, where we want customers to be able to access tools that are not necessarily being built out by the same corporate developers that are, kind of building the AI backend.
Right. Do you think that the AI or the agentic revolution will be distributed evenly? Do you think that even smaller business or less successful or less smart individuals will benefit as much as people from the top with a lot of resources?
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the massive market components about this is those other large companies you're talking about, they're already leveraging agentic tool sets, and they're already taking advantage of it and eating the smaller business lunch right now. What agentic tools allow and bring to market for the medium and small and emerging businesses is access to a tool set that they didn't necessarily even know was available or being used by their larger competitors. So now those tool sets can be onboarded in a lot of ways. You download an iPhone app to your phone when you want to add a new application tool set, right?
Yeah, and if you think about, the audience for this is the family offices, the venture funds, the private equity funds, and their portfolio companies, right? We are at this amazing time in American history or global history where the funds can buy businesses at their pre-AI valuations, do the AI transformation, and sell them at post-AI. Now, let's think about that. If AI is cheaper, better, and faster than our junior employees at a 32-to-1 ratio, well, that means for every dollar that we were spending on support staff, we can get 32 times the output. Those are going to be able to control the 5 factors that every fund manager cares about: the brand and reputation of the organization, the solution product market fit, the scalability of the organization and the operational maturity. How have you de-risked the threats to operations, and do they have access to their ideal stakeholders, right? Their customers, their strategic partners, their key employees, their next round of investment capital. And when you think about all of that, at every step of the process, if the leadership team has taken the time to understand the value proposition that their organization creates for their customer, AI can do that transformation and do it cheaper, better, and faster than their competitors. Everybody has said, if you are not going through this transformation, you won't have a business. Right?
Yeah, and one of the things I think a lot of people forget about cybersecurity is really the biggest breach point has always been the human resource. That's, everybody imagined cybersecurity as these hackers in a basement.
Social engineering.
Yeah, well, it's all social engineering, and they get your passwords because you give it away. AI, in a lot of ways, if you're removing the humans from a lot of those steps within the workflow, that's a huge security upgrade. And we're not even talking about protecting data or any of that. We're just talking about keeping your network and infrastructure safer. And so it provides a lot of value there as well.
Right. Jason, I want to ask you, because you're in Washington, D.C., there's been Stargate announced at the beginning of the year. I believe was a huge project. It was at 300 billions to AI or something like that. And now the tariffs have just kicked in. So what are you seeing at the political scene that could either slow down or accelerate the AI revolution?
Well, so clearly, if we look at DOGE, Elon Musk, his purchase of Twitter, and then the formation of XAI, clearly Musk, as well as a whole lot of other people, believe that we can remove layers upon layers of human labor within the government sector. We can digest massive quantities of data and be able to serve the constituents better, cheaper, better, faster if we do AI integration. Now, the tariffs, what are they going to do? They're going to create major hiccups in the government procurement process, right? There's going to be fits and starts. But what we believe will happen is each of the agencies are going to identify current period, what are the single AI use cases, meaning we don't have to do any integration, right? How do we improve an existing workflow with one AI tool? And that's what the government's buying right now. We believe that they're going to start doing procurement related to full solution development. Government buys butts and seats. That's the pejorative for it, right? They buy humans to go do work. They buy SaaS software. And now what they're going to be buying is business process optimized AI agents that work well with fewer humans. And we believe ultimately we're extraordinarily well positioned to help organizations go make that transformation. Now, when we're talking about tariffs in our international supply chains, I think we're going to run into some really big challenges if we're going to insist that our heavy metal, rare earth metals are tariffed to bring them into the country so that we can do the manufacturing here for advanced chips. I suspect that what we're going to see is a radically pared down tariff requirement on the things that the United States government views as mission critical for the success. I suspect that we're looking at an 18-month interruption of normalcy, and then we're going to come to a new normal where AI is a critical component of that.
I also think it's going to force some of the supply chain optimization that needs to occur because there is so much fluff and middlemen and dead weight and loss of energy that occurs in the supply chain. And depending on how the tariffs shake out, but as long as we're readjusting international trade rules, we're going to have to be getting resources and selling and selling services and our own resources to other countries in a really optimal way, and have multiple trading partners and figure out, should we be getting 20% of our steel from here? 30, we should be building 30% in-house. We should be getting what's optimal and what is best for national security and for our relationships. And how do you calculate all that when the rules are changing, the supplies are changing, the amount that's being mined or available to be produced in one space versus another is competitive with other countries who want to achieve it? It's a very complex calculation, and without AI being kind of layered into that, you're going to fall behind other countries who are doing it, right?
Yeah. Interesting points. The tariffs have been devastating on the short term, but could be a smart play on the long term. National security wise, could protect from China. It had a deep sea question for you guys, but we're already out of time. I also think that isolating yourself and sort of playing the nationalist card can be a security risk as well as a country. But let's see how that plays out. It's an interesting play for sure. Where can we find out more about you folks?
Nuevco.com, nuevco.com. We've got, and we'll share with you guys the Nuevco website and our LinkedIn profile. And I'm always reachable at jason.gayl, Gayl, at nuevco.com. Certainly interested in working with your organization, whether you're the venture fund, the private equity fund, family office, or the company that is trying to attract those. That is exactly the place that we feel like AI has the most value creation opportunity. It has the ability to accelerate a business, and we're really excited to be able to work with you guys.
So that would